The doctor sat upon his throne, with eyes so dark a chilling tone. He propped his cheek, his mood so grim, as hatred filled him to the brim. His stare was cold, his patience thin, a scowl stretched wide upon his chin. A weary sigh escaped his lips, his mind adrift on bitter trips. No joy, no glee, just smouldering gloom, a shadow cast within the room. For there he sat so stern and sour, his dreary thoughts he spent each hour. The doctor spoke with a scoffing glare.
Christmas,
he sneered.
It's just not fair. It once was fun. It once brought cheer. But now it brings me dread each year. Look at them all, so happy and bright. Together they gather with spirits alight. They laugh, they sing, they shout with glee. Well, misery's all that's left for me. I rule them all, both far and near. Why must I bear this awful cheer?
He bellowed loud, his voice a roar, as anger echoed more and more. The doctor rose from his throne with a sneer, and strode to the window, his days dark and clear. He peered down at Jonesville, on the planet Benzar, and scoffed.
Look at them! How merry they are! I hear their cheer from all the way here, perhaps for Santa with cookies and cheer. They gather round trees, sing songs, feast away, watch holiday movies, make merry all day. But here I am, alone and cold, despite the good deeds I've done of old. Why must I suffer, cast off, pass by, lonely and low while the world's flying high?
He clutched his screwdriver with a frustrated sigh and wished for this Christmas to hurry on by. But Christmas hasn't come just yet, for it's Christmas Eve across the set. All through the universe, far and wide, there's holiday cheer on every side. The adipose cheer for Galaxial's night, while the ood marks in a silvery light. Every species near and far revels beneath a holiday star. But here stands the doctor, lone time lord, with envy sharp as a double-edged sword. For all are happy, each creature in kin, while he's left outside, looking in. A Dalek marched up to the doctor's side.
"Do you have any orders, sir?"
it cried. The doctor turned with eyes so cold as ice.
I can't take this holiday spirit. Not tonight.
He barked aloud, his voice a gruff command. The Dalek trembled, couldn't understand.
I want it gone. Every holiday cheer. Every little bit of spirit. Disappear. If I can't have a happy Christmas day, then no one else can find their way.
The doctor's voice was sharp, his will was strong. The Dalek knew it couldn't stay for long.
"I obey,"
it piped with metal grace, and slowly backed away from that harsh place. Away it moved, obedient to the end, leaving the doctor's lonely heart to mend. In the silence of the festive night, he stood alone, devoid of holiday light.
I know that Dalek will bungle it all.
The doctor muttered, filling the hall. His voice echoed wide in the empty room, a lone sound breaking through the gloom.
As always, it is up to me to scheme, to rid the universe of Christmas dreams.
He thought and pondered, ideas aflow, ways to make that holiday go. He could go back in time, erase Christmas's start, but that would wipe the good, tear it apart. He could banish the season far and wide, but people would still celebrate, tucked inside.
No.
He murmured, eyes bright with zeal.
If I want this spirit gone for real, I must do it myself with tireless might. I'll go to each house, each shelter, each site, and rid every inch of holiday cheer, so no one is merry this festive year.
The doctor grinned a soulless smile as he rushed to his TARDIS, quick by a mile. Since his reign, the ship had grown still, her soul gone quiet, no warmth, no thrill. But that didn't faze him, not in the least. He flicked and pushed, a man on a feast. Buttons and levers, he pressed them all, chasing his plan, heedless of the fall. His hands reached for the lever that wanted to depart, and with a smug gleam, he gave it a start.
Getting rid of Christmas!
He whispered with glee.
How magnificent! This will set me free.
The TARDIS wheezed and moaned with a might as it dematerialized, slipping through the night. Into the vastness of a time vortex it flew, where anything's possible and time's never true. You can go forward or backwards in time. to the present, the past, or a future sublime. But the doctor's first choice was perfectly clear: the town of Jonesville, so near and so dear. It made sense to start where the ties were tight, in the town closest to him, within his sight. After all, when you're on a mission so grand, it's best to begin where you can understand. The doctor's first stop was the Moe's abode, for in Jonesville they were the jolly bright load. Their cheer was notorious, it reached his ears, so he landed the TARDIS, bringing his fears. He slipped down the chimney with a thud and a bump, hitting the bricks with a clatter and a lump. Again and again he crashed with a sound, until he reached the floor, all bruised and unwound.
I never learn,
he muttered, hiding his pain, as he glanced around, shaking his brain. The house was a sight to behold and despise. Christmas decorations covered every size. Every wall, every shelf was festooned with delight, a Christmas wonderland, sparkling and bright. The doctor's disgust was quick to appear, as he reached in his pocket, his solution near. He pulled out a box, purple and small, a Time Lord's holding box that could change it all. Bigger on the inside, it was quite the trick. All he had to do was place the item quick. The doctor took and took with quick sharp hooks, stripping the Christmas joy from all the nooks. He grabbed the lights, the tinsel, the ornaments bright, until he reached the tree, ready for the fight. But just as he neared the final prize, a creak caught his ear, and he turned with surprise. There stood young Jack Mose, with fear in his gaze, the middle child caught in the doctor's dark maze. The doctor grinned, his eyes full of schemes. He reached to his side and pulled out his beams. His sonic was aimed at the frightened young lad, and the doctor's grin grew even more sad.
Hi there, friend,
he said with a sneer, then activated the sonic, making it clear. It glowed bright red, a hum filled the air, and Jack's scared face went blank, no longer aware.
You will never speak of this. Mark my word,
the doctor commanded, his face like a sword. The boy nodded, dazed, no fight in his head, and then, obediently, back to his bed. The doctor then stuffed the tree in the box, and with a final look he climbed up the rocks. Through the chimney he went, mission complete, leaving behind the child's mind, all but beat. As the night went on, the doctor did roam, from town to town, making each one his own. In Jonesville first, he took all he'd find, then spread out across the universe, minding kind. Planet to planet, colony to colony, he stripped every place of their holiday harmony. No place was safe, no home untouched. His wrath was relentless, his heart's untouched. With every step, his mission grew clear, to rid the cosmos of Christmas cheer. But then he paused, his heart's filled with dread, for one last stop, to the home of the dead. It led him to Gemma Jones' old place, where silence hung and time lost its trace. She was gone, no more warmth to be found, her memory haunting, a ghost in the ground. The doctor stared at the house, his heart filled with pain, memories of Gemma flooding his brain. He'd spent his first Christmas in his new form, with her by his side, through the cold and the warm. He could recall every laugh, every word that was said, the joy they shared, the life they had led. It almost warmed him, the thought of that day, but the memory of her death soon led him astray. He swallowed the feeling, the ache in his chest, the love and the loss, the grief that couldn't rest. Closing his eyes, he forced back the tears, and turned to the door, facing his fears. He stepped inside with a heart heavy and slow, the weight of her absence, all he could know. Entering the entryway, the doctor took in the scene, the familiar hallway where memories had been. The bathroom to his right, so close yet so far, where he'd first seen his face, a mark on who you are. He walked to the mirror, drawn by its gaze, expecting to see the man of old days. But what he saw made his heart skip a beat. The face in the glass was a stranger he'd meet. The doctor in the mirror was not the one he knew, a reflection of pain, of battles he'd rue. From the master's tricks to the Candyman's chase, to the loss of his love, the ruin of his race. He couldn't bear to see how his soul would be known. The man in the glass was too far from home. Quickly he turned, avoiding the guilt, and headed to the living room where plans were built. Just as he reached for the first gift to claim, a thud shook the air, a sound none too tame. A voice from the roof, distant but near.
Who could that be?
He mused with no fear. Then footsteps approached, heading towards the flue, and down from the chimney a figure he knew. An old jolly man in red and white. The doctor's hearts raced at the familiar sight. It was Santa Claus, of that he was sure, a holiday figure of joy and allure. And standing there, caught in his gaze, the doctor knew his night would be full of delays. Santa looked at the doctor, a frown on his face, and he shook his head with a touch of disgrace.
So you're the one who's been stealing with glee all of their Christmas for all to see?
His voice was sad, a bit hurt, a bit blue, as he faced the doctor, who knew what to do. The doctor, with daggers in his sharp, icy stare, said,
I'm ruler of all, and I really don't care. I can do what I please, and I'll do it today. I wish for this Christmas to just go away.
He pointed his sonic with a wicked grin.
You won't stop me. I'm bound to win.
He tried to activate it, but in the blink, Santa reached out, quicker than you could think. The sonic flew right out of the doctor's grasp and into Santa's hand with a little gasp.
Hey, that's not yours!
The doctor did shout, but Santa just chuckled, with no fear or doubt.
Tell that to those you've stolen from tonight, or the joy you've crushed, or the cheer you've blight.
It's my right.
The doctor yelled with great might.
I can take what I want. It's my due, my right.
He didn't care if the people home could hear. His voice was loud, filled with rage and fear.
Is that what Gemma would have wanted?
Santa asked. His words hit hard, like a task that was masked. The doctor's face twisted, all wicked and cold, a vile evil look, sharp and bold.
I'm doing this because of her!
He screamed, his heart torn apart, but his anger still steamed.
One warning, Santa, you've been told. Leave me be, or I'll make you fold.
His eyes flared wild, his voice filled with dread. The doctor stood firm, with vengeance ahead. Santa looked at the doctor, full of dismay.
You used to be nice. What happened today? You were a good pal, a friend through and through.
Santa sighed deeply, feeling the blue. The doctor stayed silent, not saying a word, his gaze locked on Santa, a foe most absurd. Santa sighed again, his heart full of shame.
It's a shame,
he said, calling out the name. But the doctor was done, his patience all spent. With a shout, he shoved Santa, his anger well lent. Santa crashed hard against the old hearth as the doctor's fury tore on his worth.
You don't know me!
The doctor cried loud as he hit Santa, his anger unbowed.
You don't know what I've been through. You don't know why this is justified too.
He kept on striking, his fistful of rage, but Santa just stood there, calm on the stage. No flinch, no fight, not a word did he say, just pity in his eyes as the doctor went astray. The doctor paused, noticing the stillness there.
What are you waiting for?
He shouted in despair.
Fight back, Santa! Fight back now!
But Santa just looked at him, silent somehow. As the doctor kept hitting, his anger unbound, the noise of his fury echoed around. It caught the attention of those in the house, and soon Howell Jones was making his way out. With confusion in his eyes and tired from sleep, Howell saw the doctor, and a shiver did creep.
Doctor?
He asked, his voice full of doubt. And the doctor froze, a storm inside him broke out. He slowly turned, feeling 1,000 emotions, a swirling tide like tumultuous oceans.
What are you doing in my house, sir?
Howard asked in fear, his voice full of stir. The doctor couldn't speak, his throat tight with dread. He wanted to command, make Howard misled. He thought of his sonic, his power to win, but it was with Santa, no way to begin. Conflicting thoughts tore through his mind, too much to handle, his soul intertwined. Unable to take it, the rage took its toll. He grabbed Santa's beard and dragged him with control. Out of the house with no time to delay, the doctor forced Santa, no words left to say. As the doctor stepped out, he regained his control, his emotions now steady, no longer a role.
I can't go back in there.
He muttered with spite.
How dare you let Gemma's father wake up tonight?
He glared at Santa, his anger still burning.
You were the one who yelled.
Santa said, turning. The doctor snapped, his rage igniting, his voice full of fury, his temper now biting.
Yeah, but you were the one who came in uninvited.
He shouted, his fury no longer light-hearted.
I would have taken everything, made it all mine, if it weren't for you ruining my design. You, Santa, are a traitor, a foe to my reign. And I'll make sure you die, ending Christmas's pain.
Santa stayed calm, without a flinch or a fight.
I won't fight you, Doctor.
He said, peaceful and polite. This made the doctor furious, his temper alight.
Why? I'm attacking you. Fight back! Take flight!
He yelled as he struck, hitting Santa once more. But Santa just chuckled, a soft, knowing roar.
I won't fight.
He said, so calm, so serene, leaving the doctor confused, his anger unseen. Does he want to die? Does he want Christmas gone? Fine by me, the doctor grinned, his fury still strong. With that he struck again, his hit sharp and swift, and Santa wobbled back as if caught in a lift. The doctor hit again and again and again. Santa rocked backwards without any pain. The doctor followed, his fury unchecked, not seeing the trick, not seeing the effect. Santa moved backwards, step by step. The doctor, blind with rage, could only fret. No matter how hard he struck or he swiped, Santa's outfit stayed whole, and his skin unripe. The doctor kept hitting, his hope growing thin, his blows not making a dent in Santa's skin. But Santa kept backing, no tear, no blood, and time ticked on as the night turned to mud. Then finally Santa led him to a place so still it struck fear in his face. Gemma's grave, the final stop of the night, where the doctor's fury met with his plight. The doctor stopped, his fists clenched in rage, breathing heavily, his heart in a cage. He stared at Santa in utter disbelief.
How? How could you still stand, without any grief?
He gasped for air, his body so worn, wondering how Santa could stay so untorn.
How?
He asked, his face full of doubt, but silence from Santa, not a word came out.
How are you still alive?
The doctor did yell, every breath cold like a deep endless well. He was tired, confused, his fury now drained, as he searched for an answer, but none could be gained. As the doctor stood still, waiting for sound, he glanced all around at the graves in the ground. At first he thought little, no thought in his head.
These names don't matter,
He silently said. But then his eyes landed and his heart gave a jolt on a grave that stopped him, made his mind halt. It was Gemma's, so simple just her name, and in that moment his guilt was aflame. The grief, the loss, it flooded his soul. Her death in his mind took a terrible toll. He couldn't escape it, no way to ignore, so he fell to his knees, his heart's wanting more.
Why take me here?
He whispered in pain, as tears filled his eyes like a downpour of rain.
Because this is where your Christmas spirit died.
Santa said softly, his voice full of sigh.
This is the moment your soul turned to dark. I know what happened, Doctor. I see the mark. It wasn't your fault, not what began. But what you did next, I don't understand. Every murder, each planet you claimed, every species you conquered. You've never been the same.
The doctor turned slowly, his gaze sharp and cold.
So, what? You want me to repent? Be told?
He scoffed, his voice bitter, full of disdain.
Repent for saving the universe from evil's reign?
Santa frowned as the doctor raved.
I'm doing what's right. My universe saved. Every action, each killed. It's all part of the plan. To rule is to bring peace, to tame every land.
Santa looked deep, past the doctor's cold guise, hoping to reach the lost soul in his eyes.
You took joy from the holidays, trampled it down. You've tried to steal cheer from each city and town. This time's meant for family, for warmth and delight. You tried to destroy, Doctor, this night. You, Doctor, are naughty.
Santa said with a sigh. The doctor turned to Gemma's grave nearby. Conflicted, uncertain, his thoughts torn in two, until finally he shouted,
But I followed through! Tomorrow they'll wake and feel all my pain. I stole every holiday. I didn't refrain!
No, you did not.
Santa replied, calm as can be.
Come morning, each family will still gather with glee. To celebrate Christmas, or whatever they choose. You've brought only fear. Nothing to lose.
The doctor stood still, his heart wrapped in chains.
Then why bring me here? Just to remind me of pain.
Santa put a hand on the doctor's shoulder.
Because, dear doctor, it's not over, you're older. But even now, with all you've done, there's still light in you yet. You're not fully gone.
He bent down low, took the Time Lord box, the doctor's tool for his cold, cruel plots.
I'll undo the harm, return every cheer, to each home you visited, far and near. You stay here, and think, reflect on your path.
Santa said softly, no hint of wrath.
Make your peace, Doctor. Come back to the light.
And into the shadows he went from sight, leaving the doctor alone in the quiet night. The doctor knelt down by Gemma's grave, with tears in his eyes and a rage he couldn't save.
This is all your fault!
He shouted in pain.
You just had to go die and leave me insane. You selfish human to leave me this way. How dare you make me love, then stray? How dare you leave me alone in the end when you promised me love, a life to mend?
His voice shook hard, he pounded the ground, the fury of loss, a relentless sound.
We would have been happy. I was ready to stay. My last life, finally home. My restless heart at bay. I wanted to show you the wonders I've seen. Take you to planets, show you what's been. Christmas by Christmas, year after year. But you had to die and leave me here.
He glared at her grave, the memories a curse.
Your death turned my friends. Made everything worse. Santa's against me, the universe too. All for my justice. All because of you.
He spat the words, his heart's worn and torn.
I'm done with your memory. The weight I've borne. Santa wants me to think, but I'm through. This is goodbye, Gemma. No more you.
Then came bells from the village afar. The clock struck 12, a cold midnight star.
Merry Christmas.
He whispered, his voice low and dry.
One last farewell, Gemma. Goodbye.
He rose from the snow, no more warmth inside, leaving her there, a last tear dried. The doctor won't heal, his heart's grown cold, but Christmas lives on, brave and bold. For the spirit won't die, try as he might, Christmas endures, a fierce, hopeful light. No matter his power, no matter his goal, he cannot kill what's rooted in soul.
You have just listened to Doctor Who Dead End, the 2024 Christmas special, How the Doctor Stole Christmas. This audio was written by Iris Prindel and stars Iris Prindel as the Last Doctor, Matthew Mills as the narrator, George Guidera as Santa Claus, Isaac Travers as the Daleks, and Pupil Hicks as Harold Jones. This audio's cover artist was Iris Prindel. This audio is edited by Iris Prindel. This audio was directed by Iris Prindel and produced by Iris Prindel. Thank you for listening to a Gormaco production.